I'm confused. I'm a library of confusion. They made Lestat sound like such an asshole here. Again, Louis friendzone Lestat. Last video I forgot to film the outro, now I forgot to film the intro. I am back from my vacation and I'm rested and rejuvenated and ready to continue suffering through the mangled version of Interview with the Vampire that was left after the Russian censorship. So let's go, let's watch this second episode of the first season and try to see for ourselves what was left of this amazing show. I have the knowledge of the episode here, I have a transcript here, so I am ready to analyze it. Let's do it.
Давно работаете?
Вы садитесь.
Конфиденциальность? В смысле, это только работа или...
Это честь служить божеству. Мистер де Пандулак присоединится к вам на 7-м.
They surprisingly left the part where like Daniel implies something going on between fake Rashid and Louis. In the original he asks, I mean, is it only work or are you? And he wink wink, and they left this implication. I think it's quite visible if you have eyes to see.
Как говорил Ирвинг, мы забываем, а память нет. Встреча вторая.
Interesting. Russian translation even adds some new information, because in the original Daniel just quotes memory is a monster, we forget it doesn't, and here they actually attribute it to Irving. They are educating also. Nice. Thank you. Oh, they left it in. At least something. At least crumbs. I needed those crumbs. You know, just because in the first episode, if you saw that in my review, they cut like almost everything pertaining to some kind of a connection forming between Louis and Lestat. Like if you just watch the premiere, the pilot episode, you won't have a tiny idea of like what's the deal between these two. Yeah, because they actually cut like every scene where they had some kind of a connection. And I'm surprised that they left it here, because of course it's quite innocent and it can be like viewed through the eyes of just, you know, some kind of empiric bond, which of course it also is. But yeah, I'm surprised that they left it. It's quite a, you know, wholesome scene as much as a scene of like burying the body of your victim in a cemetery can be wholesome. And it can. Yeah, because we're watching Interview with the Vampire.
Умерев, наконец узрел таинство существования.
Как под кайфом.
Совершенно верно.
Another surprising thing is that in the pilot episode, they exchange all mentions of drugs with alcohol. And here Daniel says, just like in the original, he said like you were fucking loaded, and here in the translations like you were high. So
Его.
Сразу на крупную дичь собрался. Твой выбор.
in the original Lestat says like straight to the prettiest girl at the party, and here he says like straight to like the biggest prey. So Lestat denied the prettiest girl title to this dude.
Навестить Грейс и Пола.
Приятель.
Ты что, оглох?
Well, obviously in the original Lestat says like oh dear, which is like oh god, and here they translated like oh buddy. It's a buddy comedy. Yeah, I cracked the code.
Забыл предупредить. Жизнь вампира полна, как удовольствий.
He's still carrying him like bridal style. Oh. Surprisingly, it's been 10 minutes and almost nothing was cut. Only like some parts of it were retranslated. But I have my suspicions that they will cut the next scene.
Он подгонял меня так, будто хотел поскорее пройти этот этап.
Yeah, obviously. So they cut the whole scene with Lestat's tantalizing striptease and him saying like you can be on top, which can be expected. In no reality would they leave that scene in.
Слишком много нового за ночь.
Пробуждение?
Yeah, they couldn't say coming out, of course. So instead of coming out, they're just saying awakening. What kind of awakening? We don't know. A spiritual awakening or what? Of course, they had to conceal the coming out part, and the viewer would still understand what kind of awakening was it, because yeah, it's quite a transformative experience, literally, for Louis. Still, it does make sense. I'm not praising them because the whole situation is completely screwed, but in this episode, I feel like they found their footing. Yeah, like they realized what they need to do to make it watchable.
При чем тут пробуждение?
Это сложно.
Again, like Daniel says, how sexuality playing that, and here they repeat the word awakening. He awoke, okay? He awoke.
Повеяло стокгольмским синдромом.
Я ступил в...
When Louis talks about being desired by Lestat and bedding down with him, of course, they had to retranslate it into like being created by him, being like in cahoots with him. And Daniel, in the original, he says, to the shame of queer theorists everywhere. And here they retranslated it as it smells like Stockholm Syndrome, which is not incorrect. Let's put it that way. Yeah, not incorrect.
Это ведь не считается изменой. Я же не забеременела.
Хочу секса.
Oh, they denied that woman her lesbian experiences. Because in the original, she says, it's not cheating with a woman because I can't get pregnant. And they translated it as, it wasn't cheating because I didn't get pregnant.
Вы посмотрите. Маникюр сделал. Очки. Что за мода нынче у этих мужчин, боже.
Here they couldn't keep the like microaggression that his mom directed at him. In the original, it's implied that she cloaked him as a homosexual man who follows the trends, the fashions of men like him. And here they just made it sound like she doesn't understand modern men's fashion. Like, oh, he got his nails and the sunglasses. Oh, I don't understand the youngsters.
И как он только посмел.
Oh, that was one of my favorite lines in this episode. Like, you're a library of confusion. And they translate it as like, oh, how dare he, tell you that you did a good job.
Креол, европеец, птенец, вампир. Что это, по-твоему?
Точно не ярлыки.
They couldn't talk about queerness. So he says colored, white, Creole, French, fledgling vampire. And then he asks, what it is for you? And Lestat here answers, definitely not labels. No more non-discriminating Lestat, unfortunately. But still, like, a dialogue kind of makes sense. Like, Louis is making a point that they are not equal, that something like is different. But again, he makes a point from the human perspective. They have the different standing in the society. In the translation, Louis brings up the vampirism, which is not actually a thing that is like noticeable about them. I guess it's obviously distracts from the point that he's making, but, like B- for the effort, I guess.
Ну что поделать? Не отказывать же.
Again, I'm surprised that they left these kind of a romantic, intimate scenes between them, also quite wholesome. But Lestat says in the original, how can I say no to you? And here they translated it as something like, why would we say no? Like, how can we say no to that? Not to the buying of the saloon. They made it less about their relationships and more about the business opportunity, I guess.
Так занят работой и... Сама все понимаешь.
И как там поживает этот...
Okay, they cut the tiny second of Grace saying him. Like, I've been busy with work and him. But still, here, I guess,
Lestat?
Да, Лестат.
they still mention Lestat. Did you eat the baby? By the way, what do you think? Did he eat the baby? I'm still torn on that, actually.
Больше не убиваю. Последний раз был в 2000-м.
Новый миллениум, новый я.
Донеси это до читателей.
Принято. Вы съели?
Daniel says here, instead of some Y2K disagreement, he says like new millennium, new me. Yes, we have New Year resolutions and vampires have new millennium resolutions.
У меня никогда не будет своей семьи. Сыновей, дочерей. Да просто засунь меня в печь.
Oh, they caught Lestat saying, I'm your family, Louis. Oh, I'm sad. Lestat really wants a family, and they deny him, just like Louis. But, I mean, the family can be like brothers. Yeah, why not? They could have let it in. That's all I'm saying.
Не встречал второго такого. Такого же злого, упрямого, неуступчивого, вредного. У меня идея. Надо развлечься.
Oh, they made Lestat sound like such an asshole here, because he starts listing the like negative qualities of Louis, like angry, stubborn, accommodating. But then in the original he says, but also someone as loving, as dedicated and thoughtful, as imperfectly perfect as you've become. And they cut it out. About the like you're a challenge every sunset, Saint Louis. So here Lestat said like, you know, you're angry, insufferable, but let's take a holiday.
Я забыл о важности досуга.
In the original, Lestat says, I've been neglectful of our romance, and here he said, I've neglected the importance of leisure time.
Он был моим убийцей, наставником, другом, создателем, всем сразу.
Again, Louis friendzoned Lestat here. So he says Lestat was his murderer, his mentor, his friend, and his maker. You know, they have a really strange but wholesome friendship.
Ты представить не можешь. Пустота. Пропасть шириной в десятилетия.
А сколько нас вообще?
At least they left that, but they cut the part where Lestat says that you take this feeling of loneliness away and that we must stay together and never part. If they have the angle of friendship, why is it a bad thing to say about your friend? Like, you take away my loneliness, you're my bestie, let's stay together forever. I guess it's quite a nice sentiment. I mean, male friendship is also very important and very underrepresented. I'm glad that they left at least like the moments of like true connection between them. I'm grateful for that.
Сотни и один.
And of course they cut out the pinky touch. That's not very friendshipy of them.
Ты убийца, Луи! Прими это, наконец!
Он сделал легкий надрез, чтобы тенор не мог звать на помощь.
I'm confused. I'm a library of confusion. Did they cut the part out where Lestat takes the tenor to carry him to the couch? Why? It just Louis says here like I was in denial in bringing death. Lestat was an artist. What is so offensive about that? They're still clearly showing it.
Да ну разить-ка Господу!
Я так и не вошел во вкус. Никогда не наслаждался послевкусием. Я приспешник, охваченный стыдом, неловко.
Again, they cut the part where Louis says he had a way about him and that he was still under his power and that they would drain the tenor for hours.
Печальный убийца. Дефективный вампир.
I'm not really sure why they cut that part out where Louis and Lestat double teamed this tenor. Now that I say it, maybe that like skewed on the edge of inappropriateness in the eyes of the censors, but it was still murder. I thought murder got the pass. The end. In general, the second episode was not as full of, you know, insinuating of gay stuff than the pilot. and it had less of a romance maybe, so that's why it felt more cohesive, more logical, I would even say, than the pilot. Because in the pilot, the parts that they cut out, they carried the plot forward, and here they cut out the parts that could have been cut without any kind of loss to the meaning of the episode. They changed the romance into friendship, so they're just good friends now. The historians would say they were really close friends. Yeah, that was an easy one for the censors. I fear for what they would do to the later episodes, and especially for the episodes of season 2. But I already see that the episode number 3 is 35 minutes long. I'm looking forward to that, actually. So, anyway, I hope you enjoyed the second installment of this excruciating series. And if you want to come back for more, to feel the struggle and share it with me, then you can like and subscribe, and we will see you again.